Good morning. Today we look at 1 Timothy chapter 3. And in this chapter, Timothy talks about the requirements, I should probably say, for being a bishop and or a deacon in the church, in the early church. And again, you know, the deacon and the bishops that they talk about here aren't the same job titles as bishops and deacons would be today, but the positions of leadership and responsibility in the church. And Paul is very conscientious about saying that these people that are elected to these positions of authority, responsibility within the church, should be people that are respectable, nearly above reproach. You know, they should be good people. You know, he says, the very first verse, the saying is sure that whoever desires to be in the office of a bishop desires a noble task. And, you know, leadership within the church structure is a noble task. It's and it's one that, you know, shouldn't be taken lightly. Then verse 2 and on, he says, you know, the bishop must be above reproach. Married only once, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, an apt teacher, not a drunkard, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, and not a lover of money. He should be manage his own household well, and I think about that with you know, some of our jobs within our community governments and everything as well, that, you know, we would expect that some of our officials, you know, if they're going to do a good job of managing and running a county or a church, should be, you know, equally able to manage the household accounts and that stuff. I mean, you don't give responsibility to someone that, you know, can't handle their own personal stuff, much less when you give them the authority over much more. And so, you know, in a way, it's good advice. You know, it says he manages his household, keeping his children submissive and respectful. I don't know, submissive is such a big deal, but to teach them responsibility and accountability and respect for others, you know, to raise up good kids. And he says, if he can't do that, how can he take care of God's church? And that's exactly right. I mean, it's, you know, if the people that we elect aren't able to take care of themselves and be, you know, kind of model citizens, I don't know, I should say model citizens, but upright citizens, responsible citizens, I mean, it's hard to expect that they're going to do a responsible job with the church. And then he says he shouldn't be a recent convert, where he may be puffed up and conceited. You know, so you don't put someone in a place of responsibility that has just become a Christian. And this is one of the things I think that happens within our churches, is that we get a new member, and before very long, I mean, we have them, you know, serving, you know, in the council and doing tasks that, you know, and maybe some of them are very capable, but then again, you know, we're kind of taking advantage of them a little bit, and I don't know if, you know, in today's society, if they're going to get puffed up and think they're anything super great or not, but the reality is that we're better off to put people in the positions of leadership in our churches that have been around our church for a while, that know some of the ins and outs and some of what's going on. And, you know, it's, you know, and you know, I'm in our small congregations that I'm more familiar with, you know, everybody knows everybody, but there are congregations that, I mean, they don't know anybody. And I think that's true with some of our elected officials. I mean, we don't know all of them, and so you know, we're not sure who they are, but we want any of our elected officials and people in positions of responsibility to to have some background in knowing what they should do that way. And then the last thing about the bishop is that he must be well thought of by outsiders so that he may not fall into disgrace and the snare of the devil. So not only to be respected within the church, but to be respected within community. And then now he starts to talk about the deacon's responsibilities. Yeah, and I think it's interesting here that just yesterday, verse 12, I permit no woman to teach or have authority over a man. Well, in the role of a deacon, verse 11, here, one chapter later, women likewise should be serious, not slanderers, temperate, faithful in all things. So here, the women can be deacons. So it's kind of, like I said yesterday, I didn't agree with Paul on some of that, but here he's saying a woman can be a deacon within the church. And the deacon must be, serious, not double-tongued, not indulging in, wine, a drunkard, not greedy for money. And then I like this, it must hold fast to the mystery of faith with a clear conscience. And I think that that's true for each and every one of us as a Christian. This mystery of faith is, why did God send Jesus? Why did God become a human? Why did Jesus let himself be crucified on the cross? This is truly a mystery in so many ways, but we accept by faith that he did it because of his love for us. We can't, we just can't make sense of it, in the true sense of the why and the how, but by faith we trust that the mystery of God's love for us is that he did it because of his love, and so the mystery of faith, anyway, to be tested, and let them be blameless and serve as deacons. And then again, let the women, be serious as well, and let them be married. So many of the same requirements as a bishop. And why not? Within the leaders of our church, it doesn't matter if you're the president of the council, if you're the secretary or treasurer, or deacon. Job titles really don't mean anything, because we need to be people of responsibility and integrity in the manners of managing our churches, and in promoting our faith, our community within, promoting our faith community within community. And so, he's just given us some guidelines as to, who we should select to be on council. And, you think about it, if we would we elect a 16-year-old person to be the chairman of the council? Probably not. In our church policies, when our youth are confirmed, they become voting members. And then as a voting member, they are also eligible to be on council. And some churches have, some of the youth on council, a youth who has been confirmed and that way. But, and it's a good learning experience for them. But I don't think we would want them in the true, leadership role that way. But it's a good way for them to learn. And then the last part, is I hope to come to you soon. I'm writing these instructions so that if I am delayed, you might know how to do everything. And then verse 6, the last, or 16, the last, what he says here is, without any doubt, the mystery of our religion is great. The mystery of our religion is great. And that's why it's so hard for so many people to believe, that it said, he who was revealed in flesh, vindicated in spirit, seen by angels, proclaimed among Gentiles, believed in throughout the world, and taken up in glory. That's the mystery of our faith, that God became a human, lived among us, and came not just for the Jews, as so many of the Jews expected, but for all people.